I once worked as a university librarian. Just a regular life, until it ended abruptly in a fire. Death came swiftly, and then, somehow, I opened my eyes in an entirely new world. Now here I was, in a strange land, where a young man named Jiang.
Xuan stood with a cocky grin, his eyes sharp with mischief. He had a girl pinned between himself and a wall, a blade flashing in his hand, not to harm but to provoke. His lips brushed her ear as he whispered with dangerous charm, "Want to become my disciple?" The girl hesitated, questioning his intentions. His approach was forward, maybe even villainous. Was this his idea of an invitation? Yet Jiang Xuan carried himself with unmistakable confidence. His demeanor all but shouted, "I am the most respected teacher at this academy." Curious, the girl wondered aloud. Could you be Luan, the famous instructor everyone talks about? This world was like a martial arts novel come to life where power reigned supreme and combat arts were worshipped. Jiang Xuan only smirked, brushing off the comparison. "No," he said. "I'm even greater than him." Still cautious, the girl asked, "So you expect I'll follow the typical path? A nobody, looked down on by all, only to rise through hardship to the top?" He gave her a cryptic smile and answered slowly, "My name is Jiang Xuan." Though the introduction lacked flair, his theatrical presence made up for it. Just as he was lost in thought, reality struck, hard. The girl slapped him across the face without warning. "Get lost," she shouted, storming away. Her voice trailed behind her, bitter and mocking. "Top of the academy? More like top con artist." Tears welled up in Jiang Xuan's eyes as he watched her leave. He called out in desperation, "Being the #1 scammer still means I'm #1. But the words rang hollow. He sighed, deeply, thinking, so this is my fate, to reincarnate as the academy's most infamous failure of a teacher? His mood darkened as he glanced at the empty classroom behind him. No students, no future. Rumors haunted the man he now embodied, a teacher blamed for a student's cultivation gone horribly wrong. His name had become a cautionary tale. With a ruined reputation and no disciples, the former teacher drank himself into oblivion. And that's when I, of all people, ended up in his shoes. Now, I had inherited his cursed life. If I can't find a student today, I'll be thrown out, Jiang Xuan muttered, face buried in his hands. I didn't expect this world to be tougher than the last, but I need to survive, at least for the sake of 3 meals a day. A gentle voice interrupted his spiral of thoughts. "Excuse me, is this where Professor Lu Shen teaches?" He looked up to see another girl, nervous, but hopeful, peering into the classroom. His spirits lifted instantly. It worked. Someone took the bait. Forcing composure, Jiang Xuan stood tall. "Do you wish to become my student?" She nodded eagerly. "Yes, sir. I heard Professor Lu Shen is the strongest instructor at HFEN Academy." "It would be an honor." His mood shifted instantly. Anger flared in his voice. "Nonsense. Taking a master isn't like picking out shoes. It's not about fame. It's about fit. Even the most skilled teacher is useless if they're not right. For you, and an unknown teacher, if well suited, could take you further than you ever imagined." The girl blinked, taken aback. "Oh, that's similar to what my brother once told me. But I still don't know who's the right teacher for me." Jiang Xuan's tone softened. "As an instructor of the Da and a member of HFEN Academy, I can't just ignore a lost student. Let me evaluate your foundation. Then I'll help you find the teacher that best suits your path." She gave a respectful bow. "Thank you, truly." Without hesitation, she stepped forward and began demonstrating a martial form. Jiang Xuan watched, struggling inwardly. "I have no idea what I'm looking at. None of this makes sense." He started to sweat. "Think fast. Say something flattering." People like flattery, right? Drawing from his experience reading countless novels and stories, he crafted his reply. When she finally finished and looked up with hopeful eyes, she asked, "Master, how did I do?" He cleared his throat and declared, "Your foundation is impressive. You possess rare talent, and your dedication shows in your form. You are a born martial artist." The girl's face lit up. "Really? A prodigy? Me?" Seeing her joy, Jiang Xuan pushed the moment further. "Especially your resistance. It's remarkable. Every movement carries the weight and grace of a tiger hidden in the shadows. The strength in your legs flows like a powerful river. Keep up your training, and your future will shine bright." But what she said next caught him completely off guard. The girl lowered her gaze, her voice tinged with sadness. "My legs, they were injured long ago. My husband's diagnosis was clear. There's no future for me in martial arts." Though momentarily surprised, Yang Xuan kept up his confident facade. "The issue is as clear as daylight. Why wouldn't I notice it?" he said smoothly. "And yet, even with such injuries, you've awakened a rare affinity." The girl's eyes lit up. "Affinity? What kind?" Jiang Xuan answered without hesitation, his tone steeped in mystical weight. "The kind born only through suffering. Adversity is the mother of hidden potential." Hope sparked in her expression. "You mean there's still a chance?" "My legs. There's still hope?" "There is," he replied gravely. "But few in this academy can recognize such a gift. Besides myself, only 2 others could see it, and neither has taken a new disciple in years." Worried now, the girl leaned forward. "They're no longer accepting students. Then what do I do? Master, will you take me in?" With practiced calm, Jiang Xuan responded, "A true teacher does not chase after fame or wealth. If the stars align, he teaches." Without another word, the girl knelt before him, her voice full of sincerity. "Master, I sense your integrity. Please let me learn under you. I promise to train with all my heart and never bring you shame." Internally, Yang Xuan could barely contain his glee, but on the surface, he wore the stoic mask of a wise mentor. He produced a small microphone, clearly prepared in advance. "Very well. Since fate has brought us together today, I'll accept you. Let's begin the formal initiation." The girl flinched, surprised by how quickly things were progressing. "Why is this happening so fast?" she thought. "Didn't he just say apprenticeship requires careful thought? Why does he already have everything ready, including a microphone?" Jiang Xuan gave her an approving nod. "Splendid. From now on, you are my student. What is your name?" She hesitated, then replied, "Wang Yin, Master." "My name is Wang Yin." "Good," he said. "Wang Yin, don't forget to show up for class tomorrow." Still unsure what she'd gotten herself into, she mumbled, "Yes, of course, Master." As she left, Jiang Xuan finally exhaled in relief. At last, a student. I'm safe from expulsion. For now. Maybe this isn't so bad after all. He stood, tall, a spark of ambition returning to his eyes. "Jiang Xuan, if I'm stuck living your life now, I swear I'll do it right. I'll make something of myself in this world." But just as he embraced his resolve, something twisted inside him. His limbs grew heavy. The air thickened. What is this?" he gasped. Suddenly, all sound vanished. The room spun and warped, until he was swallowed in an eerie silence, his own voice echoing back at him in despair. When the chaos finally ended, Jiang Xuan blinked, trying to comprehend his surroundings. "What? Where am I now?" he muttered. Before him stood towering shelves of ancient tomes and glowing scrolls, a vast, sacred space filled with a strange energy. "The Library of the Way of Heaven," he whispered, uncertain whether he had just stepped into another realm or another trial. Yang Xuan stood silently, staring at the structure before him. The library of the way of heaven, he wondered. What just happened? Did I transmigrate again? Or is this some kind of late-arriving reward for my last transmigration? The grand building loomed before him, filled with mystery. But why a library? He mused. I was a librarian in my past life. Why throw me back into that role? Curiosity piqued, he stepped forward. Well, might as well take a look. Maybe there's something inside. A secret technique, a mysterious old man, maybe even a system as... He entered. Awe filled him. The interior was magnificent, far more lavish than any library he had ever seen. The ceiling seemed endless, and the walls were nowhere in sight, swallowed by rows upon rows of bookshelves. So many books. But is that all there is? He muttered, scanning the room. Other transmigrators get cool mentors or cheat systems. I get books? Am I supposed to fling novels at enemies instead of using a sword? Despite his sarcasm, his fingers itched with anticipation. Maybe these books held ancient secrets. Maybe, just maybe, they were the real deal. He reached for the nearest volume, but the moment his hand made contact, the entire stack dissolved into thin air. What? His expression twisted into disbelief. Not even real. He threw his hands up. Fake books in a fake library. What kind of cruel prank is this? Disappointed, he turned around, ready to leave. Was it all a dream? Some fleeting illusion? Either way, it was useless. He sighed deeply. To think I got excited over nothing. Might as well grab a bite to eat. Just then, a voice called out behind him. Zhongshuan! A group of people was approaching. Leading them was a man with a mocking smirk plastered across his face. Well, well, the man sneered. Today the students choose their own masters. Look at my new disciples. Impressive, huh? How about you, Zhongshuan? Managed to convince anyone this time? Zhongshuan's gaze chilled. My business doesn't concern you. But the man wasn't finished. Everyone, let's give a hand to Teacher Zhongshuan, the only one in academy history to score a perfect 0 on the teacher's exam. He snorted. A true trailblazer! The students with him snickered. We heard he nearly crippled someone teaching them to cultivate. I'd rather go root vegetables than learn from him. Zhongshuan ignored them, unmoved. Finished? Then, kindly get lost. You're interrupting my lunch. The other teacher, clearly named Kong, still wouldn't let up. You really have no shame, do you? Spouting nonsense and still daring to look down on me? Zhongshuan shrugged. Shame? I've made history, people know me. And what about you, Kong? Who's ever heard of you? Kong's face darkened. You! Before the argument could escalate, a soft voice cut through the tension. Teacher Zhong isn't like what you're saying. Wang Yin stepped forward, her tone calm but firm. He accepted me when others wouldn't. He even said I had the potential to be the top student if I trained seriously. A panicked old man rushed up beside her. Miss, please, what are you doing? The young master told us to pay respects to Teacher Luan. If he finds out you've pledged yourself to this man, there will be consequences. Another student chimed in mockingly. Looks like she's already regretting her decision, Teacher Zhong. What now? Zhongshuan frowned slightly. It was hard enough getting one student. And now she's going to back out? The old man addressed him directly. Our young miss would like to withdraw. We hope you understand. From behind, Wang Yin spoke uncertainly. Brother Liu. Zhongshuan didn't miss a beat. Wang Yin, do you realize how many begged me to accept them? I turned them all away. But if you want to walk away from this rare chance, I won't stop you, she faltered. He turned to the old man with a half smile. You're free to take her, of course. But keep in mind, backing out now will stain her reputation. If no other master accepts her after this, can you bear that responsibility? Liu's face twisted with concern. Sensing victory, Zhongshuan gently placed a hand on his shoulder. Relax, he said softly. Your young miss has immense potential. With my guidance, she could achieve greatness." His tone shifted into a playful grin. "Besides, once the duck's been cooked, there's no flying away." Suddenly, Kong Xiong stepped forward, cutting through the tension. "Enough of this pointless arguing," he declared. "Who said no one dares to take her in? The moment she stops studying under Yang Xuan, I'll accept her as my disciple without hesitation." Jiang Xuan's temper flared. His eyes narrowed as he snapped, "Kong Xiong, are you seriously trying to steal my student in broad daylight? That's against academy rules. I could file a formal complaint." But Kong remained unfazed. "Relax. The academy permits friendly duels to resolve student disputes. If you're afraid to compete, just say so." Jiang Xuan clenched his fists, quickly evaluating the situation. Morally bankrupt as he may be, Kong Xiong is a formidable cultivator. If I face him, there's a good chance I'll lose. Still, the alternative was worse. If he declined, Wang Yin would surely leave, and he'd be back to having no students at all. Kong's voice rang out again, smug and taunting. "If you don't have the guts to fight, don't hold someone else's student." Hostage. Jiang Xuan's decision was made. I may lose, but if I back down now, I'll be finished. I'll never earn anyone's trust again. Word of the challenge spread like wildfire. Curious onlookers rushed over from all corners of the academy. "Come quick! There's going to be a duel!" they shouted. "Master Kong and Master Jiang are going head-to-head. Is this the comeback of the academy's infamous last-place instructor?" At the martial grounds, Kong Xiong explained the rules. "We each train the same student. Afterward, we evaluate their progress. Whoever helps them improve more, wins." He turned to Wang Yin with a courteous nod. "Miss, would you mind demonstrating your current ability?" Wang Yin smiled and stepped forward without hesitation. Focusing her energy, she launched a direct strike at the practice wall. The impact registered at 53 pounds. Kong Xiong nodded thoughtfully, then launched into an analysis. "Impressive power. However, your stance lacks stability. I suspect there's an old injury in your lower legs. Perhaps both." Jiang Xuan's heart sank. He saw that just from one move, he thought, beads of sweat forming on his brow. His insight is far sharper than mine. If this keeps up, I won't stand a chance. It's already starting to feel like a lost battle. Qizong leaned in close to Wang Yin and spoke in a low, calm voice. "Let me show you a method that won't put pressure on your injured leg. Listen carefully." Wang Yin gave a small nod, absorbing every word. Meanwhile, Jiang Xuan stood to the side, his nerves on edge. What is he telling her? I can't hear anything. How am I supposed to counter that? I don't know this technique at all. After a moment of quiet instruction, it was time for Wang Yin to demonstrate again, this time using the guidance she had just received from Qizong. She planted her feet like deep roots, focused her energy in her core, and let the force flow through her body like a current. With clarity and confidence, she launched another strike. The impact registered, 63 pounds. Gasps rippled through the onlookers. A simple adjustment, barely a minute of guidance, and her power had jumped by 10 pounds. The crowd murmured in amazement. Incredible! Just one tip and that much improvement? Teacher Qi really is on another level. Qizong turned smoothly to Jiang Xuan. My turn's over. Now it's yours, Teacher Jiang. Wang Yin stepped aside, and Qizong's student, Liu Yang, approached Jiang Xuan and bowed politely. Teacher, I await your guidance. But Jiang Xuan held up a hand. Wait a moment. This arrangement isn't fair. If I lose, Wang Yin goes with you. But if you lose, nothing happens? That's not how martial arts contests are supposed to work. Qizong paused, then smirked. Very well, he said, giving Liu Yang a light push forward. If you win, Liu Yang will acknowledge you as his master. Liu Yang's eyes widened in disbelief. Teacher, Qizong gave him a nod of reassurance. Relax. There's no way he can beat me. Jiang Xuan nodded stiffly. Agreed. He tried to stay composed, but inside, anxiety gnawed at him. I don't even know this martial art. How am I supposed to spot weaknesses in a technique I've never seen? Meanwhile, Liu Yang was growing uneasy. If my teacher loses to this bumbling fool, I'll be stuck calling him master. I'd rather die. Zhang Xuan scrutinized Liu Yang's stance, desperate to find flaws. There has to be something. Anything. Where's the weakness? Just then, that strange library materialized again. The surroundings faded, replaced by tall bookshelves and a heavy silence. Not again. This time, the phrase, "The way of heaven has deficiencies," shimmered in the air. Zhang Xuan stared at it, confused. That wasn't here before. What does it even mean? Without warning, a book flew from the shelves straight into his hands. Unlike before, this one felt solid, real. He opened it and read the title, Liu Yang. Seiyun Chang Liu Clan, Qi Realm Cultivator Techniques, Lotus Blossom Acupuncture, Flying Flower Fist, Level 1, Current Mastery, Full Identified Weaknesses. 12. The book continued. 1. Over-reliance on inherited skills. 2. 3. 12. Stronger left arm, makes technique predictable, limits power of strongest strike. Zhang Xuan squinted. Is this real or just fantasy? Liu Yang struck, and the result appeared, 62 pounds. Now it made sense. This library wasn't a hallucination. It was a tool, a secret power that allowed him to analyze techniques, see their flaws, and gather that knowledge in book form. Around them, students murmured with growing respect. Liu Yang is quite something. 62 pounds at his age? That's impressive. But Keishong wasn't rattled. He simply smirked. Well then, Teacher Zhang, it's your turn. Show us what you can do. With this newfound ability, Zhang Xuan's confidence surged. This library is more than a gift. It's my advantage. Let's see how far I can push it. He stepped forward, his voice clear and strong. Your technique, the Flying Flower Fist, has 12 weaknesses. The crowd burst into laughter. Keishong himself couldn't help but scoff. 12 flaws? Absurd. That technique is airtight. Even the headmaster couldn't find a single one. Students mocked him loudly. Flying Flower Fist has no flaws. He's just bluffing. Zhang Xuan stared coldly at the crowd. If you don't believe me, there's nothing more to say. Without another word, he turned to leave, calling over his shoulder. Wang Yin, come, we're done here. There's no point in staying. Wang Yin hesitated. Teacher? As he strode away, Keishong rushed to intercept him, his tone suddenly softer. Wait, we trust you, Teacher Zhang. Please, continue the guidance. Zhang Xuan smirked. So now you're worried? Good. Let me show you what it means to be humbled. He turned back and said firmly, Liu Yang, abandon the Flying Flower Fist. Switch to the Splitting Image Fist. The student blinked, unsure. Teacher, are you serious? The crowd erupted, again with laughter. He's changing techniques? Mid-match? That's not guidance, that's sabotage. Even Keishong chuckled behind them. He's completely lost it. Liu Yang's power will drop drastically. He won't even break 30 pounds. But Liu Yang obeyed. With Zhang Xuan's firm guidance, he shifted stances and unleashed the splitting. Image Fist. Then came the shocker. The wall registered the strike, well above expectations. Keishong's eyes widened in disbelief. What? That's impossible. Li Yang's results came in. 123 pounds. The crowd, once mocking Zhongquan, was left utterly speechless. What? From 62 to 123 pounds? Someone gasped. That's more than double. Even Master Lu hadn't achieved such results. And Li. Yang himself looked stunned. But deep down, he was smug, knowing exactly how he did it. A quiet, triumphant smile crept across his face. So it really works. The Heavenly Way bookstore is something else. Now it was his turn to be smug. Turning, To Kei Shang, he mocked, "You only improved by 20% while I doubled my strength." "Anything to say?" Kei. Shang stood frozen, silenced by the brutal reality. Did he really improve that much? Someone muttered. Even Shang had to reluctantly admit the truth. "What they say is true," he sighed. "Today's joke is tomorrow's." Legend! Shang retrieved a testing tool, drew blood from Li Yang, and confirmed the result. Though it stung his pride, he honored the agreement. "From this day forward, I will no longer teach you. Zhong Huan will be your teacher now," Shang said. Li Yang's face showed reluctant respect. Shang, humiliated, turned to leave with his students. "Teacher, is it really over like this?" one of them asked in disbelief. From behind, Zhong Huan waved gently. "Farewell," he said with a smile. Furious, Shang clenched his teeth, vowing silently, "You got lucky this time, Yong Huan. Next time, I'll make sure you lose." With the matter settled, Zhong Huan casually tossed the test device. Back to Li Yang. "All right," he said, "you're my student now. Go ahead and verify your identity." Though Li Yang was uneasy, he knew he had no other choice. After that public scene, no other teacher would take him. Might as well accept it, he thought. He pricked his finger and smeared his blood on the testing. Tool, officially becoming Zhong Huan's student. Word of the event spread rapidly throughout the academy. "Did you hear about the showdown between Teacher Shang and Teacher Zhong Huan?" one student asked excitedly. "You mean the guy from the bottom of the academy?" his friend replied. "He didn't just hold his own, he won. Li Yang doubled his strength. What? 100% improvement? Even Teacher Lu Shen couldn't manage that." Nearby, Jia overheard the conversation and scoffed. 100%. Impossible. If even Lu Shen couldn't do it, then no one can. It had to be a fluke. Her friend wasn't convinced. "I don't think so. That's a huge leap." Jia frowned. Her entire purpose in enrolling at Tianfan Academy was to study under Lu Shen, and now they're saying some nobody is better than him? She stood up coldly. "Fine, I'll expose that fraud for what he is." Meanwhile, Zhong Huan sat in his room, chuckling as he browsed his collection. "As long as the martial arts techniques and cultivation methods are displayed before me, the Heavenly Way bookstore automatically completes the missing parts," he grinned. "With this tool, my rise is inevitable." Suddenly, Xiaoya appeared, eyes sharp, voice like ice. "Are you Teacher Yong Huan?" He looked up, mildly puzzled. "I suppose I am. Why?" She didn't waste time. "I heard you can make students double their strength. Teach me." His answer was blunt. "Not interested." Xiaoya was caught off guard. "What do you mean, not interested? Aren't you free?" "I'm recruiting." "No time to waste on rude brats," he replied calmly. Her temper flared. "You—" But before she could explode, she took a breath and narrowed her eyes. "If I want to expose him, I'll have to play along. So how do I become your student?" She asked coldly. "Simple. Acknowledge me as your teacher." She hesitated. Trickster. Trying to fool people again. But fine. "I'll play along until I prove you're a fraud and return to Lu Shen." "Fine," she said aloud. "I'll acknowledge you as my teacher. But if you lead me astray, I'll expose you to the entire academy." Her companions were stunned. "She's going to call him her teacher? We need to tell Steward Da right away." As they ran off, Yong Huan's smile faded. "No, your attitude stinks. I don't take in disrespectful students." "You—" Xiaoya was fuming but held it in. "I'll endure for now." She forced a painfully fake smile. "Please, Master, don't be angry. I was wrong. I sincerely acknowledge you as my teacher." Only then did he nod. "Fine, but you'll have to prove your sincerity." She braced herself. "What do you mean?" "Clean this room, spotless. Scrub the toilet too. If it's not perfect, I won't accept you." Xiaoya stared at him in disbelief. "You've got to be kidding." "I'm serious," he said. "If such a simple task is too much, then leave." So, Immature, she thought. Trying to mess with me. Fine, I'll play your game. She forced a smile. I'm just kidding. I'll clean. As she scrubbed, she muttered under her breath. Unbelievable. I've never worked this hard in my life. You'll regret this. After some time, the room was spotless. Yonghwan nodded approvingly. Well done. As promised, here's the test tool. Go ahead and confirm your status. Yes, master, Xiaoya said, hiding her smirk. Step 1 complete. Now the real fun begins. I look forward to your guidance, she added sweetly. Can't wait to get stronger and see you fall. Just like he had done with his previous students, Zhongshan wasted no time getting to the point. Head out to the stone platform and give it your best punch, he said. I need to evaluate your foundation. Xiaoya nodded without protest, though inwardly she smirked. 1 punch? That's all? This will be easier than I thought. Let's see what sort of fraud you really are, Yongshan. As Xiaoya went outside to follow his instructions, Yongshan didn't just stand idle. With her beginning the exercise, he turned his attention to the true source of his insight, the heavenly Wei bookstore. If she had used any martial arts techniques before, the bookstore would surely have recorded them by now. He approached the mystical library again and called forth her information. Within moments, the ancient tome materialized details about her background. Yongzhan's eyes scanned the glowing text. Name, Xiaoya. Daughter of Baiyu Chang, the city lord. Top-ranked among young cultivators of the current K-realm. Practitioner of the White Jade technique. Flaw rating, 27 points. He noted the flaws with interest. First, a fiery temperament. Second, an inability to unleash the full potential of her technique. He muttered. For the daughter of a city lord, there's nothing particularly rare about her. Then his eyes caught a line that gave him pause. Purity status, unblemished. That was unexpected. Meanwhile, Xiaoya had completed her demonstration. Her raw strength measured 123 units, a result even Zhongshan had to acknowledge with quiet applause. Not bad, he said, clapping slowly. No formal training, and yet this result. You really do live up to your reputation. Feigning humility, Xiaoya gave him a graceful nod. Thank you for your kind words, teacher. I look forward to learning. Under your guidance. But behind her smile, her mind plotted, just you wait. I'll record everything in the Jade Scroll, then expose you for the fraud you are. Zhongshan, however, had no intention of making things easy for her. Let me be clear, he said, stepping closer. His gaze deepened. You're not well. Her cheeks flushed with surprise. What nonsense is this? I'm perfectly fine. You must be the sick one. Unfazed, Zhongshan continued. I'm not calling you names. I mean your body. There's an issue with your internal circulation. She crossed her arms and scoffed. Don't start spouting nonsense. I feel perfectly healthy. Do you? He asked coolly. Then explain the restless nights during full Wu moons, the heat rising in your body, the anxiety you can't calm. No matter how long you meditate, or the discomfort in your central and side meridians. Her face fell. She stared at him in shock. How do you know all that? Because, he replied simply, I am your teacher. That moment changed something in Xiaoya. Her guard dropped, her expression softened. Is there a cure? She asked, almost timidly. There is, he said calmly, but we'll cover that in class tomorrow. Wait, really? She pressed. If you don't believe me, he said with a shrug, you're free to find another teacher. The thought of losing her chance made her stiffen. No, I believe you. I'll be there. Just as she finished her sentence, he glanced over his shoulder with a low voice. By the way, you're not thinking of writing down anything about the essence stones, are you? Xiaoya froze for a split second at his unexpected question. Startled, she crushed the essence stone in her hand and quickly responded with determination. Of course not. I wouldn't leave anything behind. Zhongshan studied her reaction with quiet amusement. You hardly glanced at the stone, yet you figured out your condition, and even found your own notes on essence stones. Impressive. As he turned to leave, he added casually, Don't forget, class starts early tomorrow. She watched his silhouette fade into the distance, her footsteps falling in line behind him as she followed silently. How is someone like him, so skilled and perceptive, rated a 0 on the teacher exams, she wondered. The only explanation must be that he doesn't care for fame or titles. A true noble soul. Just as her thoughts wandered, a sudden burst of movement came from up ahead. A figure raced toward them like a streak of lightning. It was Dan, the chief steward of Bayou Chang, who stopped abruptly before them and called out, "Miss!" Startled by his sudden appearance, Xiaoer blinked in confusion. "Uncle Dan, what are you doing here?" His voice was calm at first, directed at her, but then turned sharply toward Zhongshan. "Miss, you haven't shown proper respect to your teacher yet, have you?" Xiaoer responded honestly. "I've already acknowledged Zhongshan as my teacher." Dan's brows furrowed deeply. He turned toward Zhongshan, his tone growing harsh and accusing. "Our young miss is of noble blood. She shouldn't be learning from someone like you. Cease this nonsense. If you insist on continuing, I'll report you to the headmaster and have you expelled." Xiaoer stepped in, frowning. "Uncle, what are you doing? I chose him of my own will. Why are you making such a scene?" But Dan stood firm. "Chose him? Can he even help you cultivate properly? Will your strength improve under his guidance?" Xiaoer hesitated. "That's not the point." Butler Ding, who had been standing to the side, tried to interject. "Well, it's not exactly only," for Xiaoer to cut him off. "Enough, Uncle Dan, please don't question this anymore." Despite her request, Dan's gaze swept over the area, only to land on the shattered remnants of the essence stone on the ground. His eyes widened, in shock. Seeing the broken pieces, rage flared within him. He pointed a trembling finger at Zhongshan and roared, "You! What have you done to the young miss? You dare trick a noble girl into taking you as a teacher? Do you want to die where you stand?" Zhongshan had stayed quiet until now, but that accusation crossed a line. "Trick her? Into what?" "Don't be ridiculous," he replied calmly. "If anything, you're grossly misunderstanding the situation." Even Xiaoer couldn't take it anymore. Her voice rang out, sharp and angry. "Uncle, that's enough. If you continue this nonsense, I won't speak to you again." It was the first time Dan had ever been scolded by her so directly. The shock on his face was unmistakable. "Miss," he muttered, but she had already turned away, tugging him with her. Staying any longer would only risk more chaos. "Let's go. I have class tomorrow. I won't miss it." Even as they walked away, Butler Ding lingered, shooting Zhongshan a look. Filled with disdain as he passed, Zhongshan watched them go, exhaling quietly. All this over accepting a student? Is it always going to be like this? Two boys strolled side by side, their footsteps light but their conversation heavy. "Don't take it so hard," said Mao, trying to lift his friend's spirits. "So what if Teacher Wang didn't pick you? It's not the end of the world." "That's easy for you to say," Junyang muttered, his tone dark with frustration. "You got accepted. Of course you don't feel disappointed." Mao scratched his head awkwardly. "I didn't mean it like that. There are other good teachers out there, you know." Junyang shook his head. "We've been training together since we were kids. Everyone knows Teacher Wang is the best martial arts instructor in the Heavenly Way bookstore. You were chosen. I wasn't. That stings more than you think." Mao gave a sheepish laugh, unsure how to respond. Then, as if fate was nudging them forward, He accidentally bumped into a wooden signboard that hung crookedly above a narrow alley. "Ow! Hey, look!" he exclaimed, pointing ahead. "There's another martial arts school just up ahead. Let's check it out." Junyang barely glanced at it. "I'm not in the mood." But Mao, ever persistent, tugged at his sleeve. "Come on, what if this place is even better? You'll never know unless you try." Still grumbling, Junyang reluctantly followed. As they stepped inside, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Zhang Xuan. Calm and composed, he looked the two over and asked, "Are you here to become my students?" Before Junyang could speak, Mao stepped forward enthusiastically. "Yes, this guy here, my friend, he's got real talent. We'd be honored to learn from you." Zhang Xuan smiled lightly. "Very well. Show me what you've got." Without giving Junyang a chance to object, Mao nudged him into the practice area. "Let the teacher see your moves. It can't hurt." Junyang sighed, but complied, deciding it wasn't worth arguing. "Fine, I'll do a few forms." He stepped up and began his demonstration. Despite the rough surroundings and his reservations, he put genuine effort into each movement. His spear struck with precision, and he scored a 12, 3 caddies. Afterward, he neatly rested his weapon, turned to Zhang Xuan and said respectfully, "Teacher, I await your guidance." But Zhang Xuan hadn't moved. He stood there, smiling faintly, as if lost in thought. Junyang's heart sank. He didn't even watch. Is he not taking me seriously? Unbeknownst to Junyang, Zhang Xuan had already flipped through a book from the nearby shelf, a scroll listing detailed profiles. He had read everything he needed to know. Then he spoke, voice steady. "Tell me, have you ever been hurt in love? Shamed even?" Junyang froze. The question cut too close to home. He stammered, face flushed. I liked someone. Secretly. But I don't see how that matters here." Mao's curiosity flared up. "Wait, what? Someone hurt you? Why didn't you tell me? Who was it?" Junyang waved him off. "We'll talk later." Turning back to the teacher, he asked cautiously, "Why do you bring that up? This is supposed to be martial arts training." Zhang Xuan met his gaze without flinching. "Because it's deeply connected. Your techniques are bold, decisive, just like your nature. But your heart holds hesitation, fear of rejection. That affects your performance." Junyang and Mao both stood in stunned silence. The teacher continued, voice calm but penetrating. "You're not weak in body, but your mind wavers. Martial arts reflect the inner state. If your heart is clouded, so will your strength be." Junyang could barely believe it. This man had seen through him entirely. "Although your martial arts seem fluid on the surface, there's something obstructing your movements. Your strikes lack sharpness, and your form is disordered. An emotional burden is clearly affecting you. With a single look, I can tell you're carrying inner turmoil." The two close friends stood speechless, eyes wide in disbelief. Even Teacher Wang, the most respected martial arts instructor in the Heavenly Way bookstore, hadn't seen through them like this. What kind of insight did this mysterious teacher possess? Zhong Chan wasn't just a martial artist, he was a sage. He calmly offered, "If you want to earn respect in love, you must first possess strength. Without it, no one will take you seriously. Open your heart, dedicate yourself to cultivation, and let your strength speak for you. Life's hardships are temporary. Never look down on your own humble beginnings." His words sank deep into Zhen Yang's heart. "Don't disdain poor youth," he repeated silently to himself. "Now," Zhang Chan instructed, "try thrusting your spear again." Driven by renewed resolve and the weight of his teacher's advice, Zhen Yang gathered his energy and lunged forward with all his might. This time, the result shocked them both. 235 caddies. His power had doubled. Maxiao could barely believe it. 235? That's unbelievable. All of Zhen Yang's doubts about this place evaporated. Without hesitation, he dropped to one knee and declared, "Disciple Zhen Yang is willing to take you as my master." Yongchan nodded calmly. "Then prove your sincerity." Zhen Yang solemnly bowed his head. "I will." Watching his friend formally accept apprenticeship, Maxiao felt a sting of regret. If I had known this teacher was so formidable, I would have asked to be his disciple first, but how had they never heard of him at the academy? Trying to satisfy his curiosity, Maxiao stepped forward. "Teacher, may I ask your name?" With quiet humility, he replied, "Zhongchan." The name rang a bell. The two boys exchanged puzzled glances. "Wait, isn't that the name of the so-called most useless teacher at our school?" Maxiao whispered. Without missing a beat, Yongchan smiled. "You're not wrong. That's me. I am indeed that useless one." His calm admission stunned them into silence. They stood frozen, unable to reconcile the man before them with the rumors they'd heard. Zhen Yang finally gathered the courage to ask, "Teacher, you're clearly extraordinary. Why such a reputation?" With the same tranquility, Zhongchan replied, "The world envies talent. There's nothing strange about it. In truth, he bore the burden of a past injustice. If not for the politics within the Heavenly Way bookstore, my predecessor's honor wouldn't have been stained. That I still stand untarnished is enough for me." Upon hearing this, Zhen Yang stepped forward with conviction. "I'll help. Restore your reputation, teacher." Zhongchan, unfazed by praise, simply said, "I don't need glory. All I ask is that you cultivate your strength and character with sincerity." With that, their meeting ended. As they parted, Zhongchan reminded him, "Class begins tomorrow, don't be late." "I won't," Zhen Yang called out enthusiastically, waving as he left. Maxiao, still processing everything, muttered, "You're lucky to have such an amazing teacher." But one question still lingered in his mind. Seriously, though, who turned down Zhen Yang's feelings? Meanwhile, in another part of the school, Zhongchan reflected with quiet pride. In just a short time, he had already recruited 4 promising students and used up all his enrollment tokens. He'd need more soon if he wanted to keep expanding his school. Backstage, he went to a room he thought was the correct one, only to find it empty. Confused, he muttered, "I could have sworn this was the place." Just then, a familiar voice echoed through the room. Well, if it isn't. Our rising star, teacher Zhongchan himself. He turned to find the speaker, Kanu. As Yongzhan stepped into the backstage area, the manager greeted him with clear disdain. "No need for any more registrations. What are you doing here?" The tone was blunt, almost mocking. This manager was notorious, the same one who ousted Yongshan's predecessor for being poor and lacking authority. Yongshan knew this, and it made the situation even more unpleasant. Still, he kept his composure. "The command cards I received have already been used," he explained, referring to the special student recruitment tokens. "I'm here to request a few more." The manager raised a brow, clearly skeptical. "Used already? That's rich." Laughter erupted from nearby staff and instructors. "A washed-up teacher with a tattered hat says he's used all his recruitment cards? That's the funniest thing I've heard all week. Teachers ranked higher than him barely managed to recruit one student, and this guy claims he's out of cards," someone scoffed. Zhongshan didn't waver. "If you don't believe me, how about we settle it with a wager?" Ken Yu, the loudest among them, grinned. "A bet? Fine, but you're broke. What could you possibly offer?" Zhongshan's gaze didn't flinch. "My dignity. If I lose, I'll let each of you slap me 3 times in front of everyone. But if I win, I get to slap you 3 times. Ken Yu's grin widened. "Deal. But remember, if you lose, there's no backing out." Without delay, The others pulled out their records, lists of all students and their mentors. "We'll just check the registry," one said confidently. "If he's lying, it'll be obvious." Kenyu leaned against a table, arms crossed. "Let's see him squirm." Moments later, 3 junior staff began calling out names. "Found them!" one shouted. Kenyu leaned in, expecting a joke, but their expressions shifted. "Yes," one stammered. "There are 4 students who've officially registered under Zhongshan." Kenyu's smug expression froze. "What?" He yanked the notebook out of their hands. "Are you kidding me?" The first name barely shook him. Wang Yin, though injured, was somewhat plausible. But then came the shockers. Tan Xuanchang, ranked 67th, daughter of a noble from one of the 4 great clans. His eyes flicked downward. Xiaoya, ranked 7th overall, heiress of the Bayou Lord. Then Li Yang, ranked within the top 100. Kenyu's face went pale. "There's no way. How did he get them?" He turned back to Zhongshan, pointing accusingly. "You must have tricked them. No way they'd follow a so-called worthless teacher otherwise." Zhongshan simply smiled. "Believe what you like, but the facts speak for themselves. Now, shall we settle our bet?" The group looked around awkwardly. Kenyu and his allies clearly had no intention of honoring the deal. "Settle what? You think we'll let you slap us just because of some names?" Kenyu scoffed. Li Yuan stepped forward menacingly. "What's a nobody like you going to do, huh? Run crying to the administration?" Zhongshan turned slightly, giving a faint nod. "Li Yuan, go ahead. Just don't kill anyone." Obeying the order, Li Yuan charged in, fists clenched. Kenyu smirked. What a fool. That guy's only in the profound chi realm and he dares to fight someone in the impenetrable body realm. A nearby student began explaining for the crowd. There are 9 main martial levels. Pinnacle of Virtue, Refined Danyan, Profound Chi, Impenetrable Body, Pinnacle of Strength, Sealing Acupoints, Profound Unity, Grandmaster, Supreme Being, and the First Heaven Realm, which itself has 4 phases. Our teacher, Zhongshan, is only at the pinnacle of the Profound Chi realm. Li Yuan is a full level higher. Then came a sound, a sharp crack, followed by a spray of blood. Kenyu didn't even look up at first. I told him just to rough the guy up. Why's there blood flying everywhere? But the gasps from the onlookers made him turn, and what he saw made his breath hitch. It wasn't Zhongshan's blood. Li Yuan was lying on the floor, limp, his body bruised beyond recognition. What? That's impossible. He was stronger. How? Did he lose? Zhongshan stepped forward calmly, brushing off his robes. Who's next? Kenyu panicked, but still tried to rally. It's a fluke! Everyone, get him! Together! But Zhongshan simply closed his eyes. From within, he accessed the mysterious library of Heaven's Path, drawing knowledge of every weakness his attackers had. Their flaws, their missteps. It was all laid bare to him. As they charged, he moved, like water, smooth, sharp, precise. With every strike, he touched pressure points that left them trembling and unable to move, frozen where they stood. By now, the group was completely under his control, like puppets dancing on strings. Jiang Xuan calmly said, If you've been struck by my vital point technique, just lie down quietly. Kanu trembled with rage, clenching his teeth. How? Do you know our vital points? He demanded. Jiang Xuan didn't bother giving them a real answer. He laughed silently to himself. Of course, it's because of the Heavenly Way bookstore. Who would have guessed it not only reveals flaws in martial arts techniques, but also highlights the practitioner's personal weaknesses? Though he came from Earth and wasn't well versed in this world's martial arts, understanding someone's vulnerabilities and how to exploit them wasn't too hard. Out loud, he simply said, A bet is a bet. You lost. Follow through. Don't make it more troublesome than it needs to be. Kanu, unwilling to back down, shouted indignantly, You're the least talented teacher in the academy. How dare you lay hands on us? This alone is grounds for dismissal. One of his followers chimed in. Yeah, kneel and beg for forgiveness or face expulsion. Once you're out, without your teaching badge to protect you, no one would care if we killed you. Jiang Xuan smirked, eyes cold. Oh, so, now that brute force failed, you want to hide behind academy rules? Fine, let's play by the rules. He then turned the tables, revealing dark secrets about each of them. Kanu, 6 months ago, you stole Elder Zhong Ming's treasure to impress a concubine. Bin, 3 years ago, your abuse drove a student to suicide. His ghost still haunts you. And Du Chun, you murdered your own brother with poison to steal his property. The three stood frozen, faces drained of color. These were secrets no one else should have known. How could you possibly know that? They whispered in disbelief. With their pasts laid bare, all arrogance vanished. The men dropped to their knees, groveling. We were wrong, Master Jiang Xuan. Forgive us, please. Jiang Xuan's tone grew firm. I've ignored your sins until now, but if you continue harming others, I won't be so lenient. Kanu, trying to appease him, forced a strained smile and pulled out a lacquered box, handing it over. Please accept this token of our regret, Master Jiang Xuan. If you ever need anything from us, just ask. With the matter settled, Jiang Xuan walked off calmly. Behind him, the group feigned friendliness, even waving cheerfully as he left. Take care, Master Jiang. Everything had gone smoothly, and Jiang Xuan felt good about how things turned out. He couldn't help but think, maybe coming to this world wasn't such a bad thing after all. This is the peaceful life I wanted. But just then, chaos broke out ahead, catching his attention. Let me die! I want to die! Cried a pudgy young man trying to leap into a river. Jiang Xuan stopped, puzzled, watching as 2 other students struggled to hold him back. Stop it, fatty. Let's talk about this. You want to jump, fine, but don't drag us with you. Realizing they had a point, the chubby one paused and said, Okay, I'll let you go. But right after, he grabbed the leg of one of his friends and dragged him along. Hey, don't pull me. I don't want to die. Another friend, caught in the drama, clung to someone's pants in desperation. You're dragging me too. It was pure madness. Jiang Xuan stood there, shaking his head and chuckling to himself. What kind of crazy world is this? Deciding to ignore the spectacle, he turned to leave and continue his student recruitment, only to find that the chubby student had spotted him. You there? You must be a teacher, the student cried out. Letting go of his companions, he bolted toward Jiang Xuan and latched onto his leg like a lifeline. Wait! Hey! Jiang Xuan called out to the other 2 students. But they were already gone, shouting over their shoulders. Good luck, teacher! Stuck with the clinger, Jiang Xuan sighed. The young man, eyes full of tears, pleaded, Please accept me as your disciple. I've already failed the teacher assessment 10 times. Today's the last day. Jiang Xuan had no choice but to sit down and talk to him. Look, even if I wanted to accept you, you have to show me something. Hanging onto my leg won't do. The student straightened up and said, Understood. Then, grinning proudly, he placed a stack of bricks in front of Jiang Xuan. What are you doing? Jiang Xuan asked, bewildered. Without hesitation, the student began smashing the bricks. With his head, Jiang Xuan stared, completely dumbfounded. What are you doing to yourself? Just like before, when evaluating potential disciples, Jiang Xuan took him to the Heavenly Way bookstore. As expected, the store's mystical records activated. The student was a wandering martial artist from Dianchang, with a low-level foundation and 18 notable flaws. The most critical, his ancient dragon bloodline remained dormant, and his cultivation base was weak and unstable. Looks like he has potential, Jiang Xuan muttered, but it's buried deep. At that moment, Ayanda offered a new perspective. Hold on, he said. You might not realize it, but Having a dragon bloodline in this world is no small thing. Combine that with a heaven-born body, and the potential is tremendous. Even having just one of the two gives a cultivator a massive edge in speed and growth, if harnessed correctly. He went on to explain that heaven-born bodies came in different classes: divine body, looter body, celestial body, and immortal body. Bloodlines, too, had their own hierarchy: ancient, new, inherited, and mutated. This particular dragon bloodline? It was an ancient one, long rumored to make its wielder's weapons unstoppable, able to cut through anything once fully awakened. It turned out that Yuan Ta possessed this exact bloodline, one of the most revered and powerful defensive types. Zhang Jian was stunned. This chubby kid has that kind of heritage? Even if it's dormant, it's still incredible. A sly grin spread across his face as a sudden thought struck him. I must take him as my disciple. Without another word, Zhang Jian pulled out his disciple acceptance token and handed it to Yuan Ta. Not bad, he said. From this moment on, you're my student. Show me your respect. Yuan Ta's eyes lit up with pure joy. Really? Master, you truly have an eye for greatness. He quickly pricked his finger, letting a drop of blood fall onto the token to seal the bond. Filled with excitement, Yuan Ta laughed loudly. Ha ha ha! I finally have a master! Zhang Jian, still composed, gave him a soft reminder. Don't get too full of yourself. Suddenly, the moment was shattered by a sharp, mocking voice. So this is Master Zhang Jian, it sneered. The voice belonged to Shang Bin, grandson of the Academy's head elder, Shang Shen, and also one of Shen Baiyu's suitors. He scoffed. Like teacher, like student. Trash begets trash. Standing beside him was none other than Shen Baiyu, the Academy's top beauty and the object of countless affections. Jiang Jian had once been one of those admirers, which had already put him at odds with Shang Bin Jiang. Jian's expression turned icy as he faced him. Who are you calling trash, Shang Bin? With no hesitation, Shang Bin proudly declared, You, of course. Jiang Jian smirked, grabbing his nose with exaggerated distaste. Ah, so you are the trash? That explains the smell. The insult left Shang Bin furious. He pointed a trembling finger at Jiang Jian and shouted, How dare you call me trash, too? His horror, Shen Baiyu let out a soft laugh beside him. He glanced over, only to see her covering her mouth in amusement. His face turned sour. Even Baiyu is laughing at me. No, stay calm. Keep your cool in front of the goddess. Still fuming, he snapped. What's wrong with what I said? What qualifications do you even have? Everyone here knows it. I took a glance. At your little student earlier, he's only at the 15 Jin level. All he knows is defense. He ranked dead last in the entrance exams for both students and teachers. A perfect match for a loser like you. Yuan Ta stood there, stunned. What? My teacher is a nobody? I'm in deep trouble. What kind of mess have I walked into? In a low, uncomfortable voice, he mumbled, Are you done? If so, then get lost. Shang Bin's face flushed with rage. But then he turned to Shen Baiyu, trying to recover. Miss Baiyu, let's leave. Being around this kind of person is beneath you. As they passed, Shen Baiyu suddenly turned to Jiang Jian and softly said, Your reputation as a teacher hasn't been the best, but don't give up on yourself. Keep working hard. Things can change. Jiang Jian blinked, caught off guard by her unexpectedly kind words. Wait, does she think taking Yuan Ta was a step down for me? He calmly replied, Thank you for the advice. This student might not seem impressive now, but with proper guidance, even an uncut gem can shine. Shen Baiyu gave a small nod. Then her expression turned cold as she addressed Shang Bin. Master Shang, I'm tired. I won't be joining. You for dinner. Please stop following me. Shang Bin froze. What about dinner? Ignored, he turned back to Jiang Jian in a fury. You'll regret this, Jiang Jian. I swear it. Unbothered, Jiang Zhan smiled faintly. Dinner's fine by me, or breakfast if you prefer. Bayu, looking back once more, scoffed. I'd rather not have either. Meanwhile, Yuanta, hoping to slip away quietly, began to sneak off, only for Jiang Zhan to call him out. Hey, where do you think you're going? My classroom's that way. Busted, Yuanta froze. I've been caught. Turning back with a sheepish look, he muttered, Master Jiang, maybe it's not a good idea. I'm not very smart. If I stay your student, it might ruin your reputation. Maybe I should quit? Without a word, Jiang Zhan grabbed his wrist, firmly, and looked him dead in the eyes. Listen to me. Now that we've confirmed our bond, you're my student in life, and in death, you'll be my ghost student. We're not parting ways. Yuanta opened his mouth to protest, but Jiang cut him off. I get it. You're thoughtful, worried about others, but that just makes me more sure about you. Come on, I'll show you around the classrooms. Even then, Yuanta seemed unsure. He hesitated again. Master, if I don't show up tomorrow, will you expel me? Jiang Zhan gave him a cold look. Expel you? No. I'll toss you back into that fish pit we saw earlier and let them feast. Like I said, you live as my student, and you'll die as my ghost student. And don't worry, I'll bury you with honor. That's my duty. Later that evening, back in Jiang Zhan's residence, he sat cross-legged on his bed, sifting through cultivation materials. He sighed. Today's the last day for enrollment. Looks like I've only got 5 students. Starting tomorrow, I'll have to start teaching. He looked at the manual in his hands. The 9 Heavens Divine Technique, one of the most widely practiced at Tianfan Academy. It matches the 9 realms of martial cultivation. He frowned slightly. I'm at the peak of the 3rd heaven. All the other teachers are already at 4th or higher. I need to catch up. With that, he closed his eyes and began his own journey of cultivation, determined to push himself forward. Jiang Zhan stood still before the heavy wooden doors of the academy library, lost in thought. Maybe this place holds the answer, he murmured. If I can't solve the problems in my past cultivation, I'll never move forward. He reflected on the daunting process of gathering Kai, harnessing and condensing the spiritual energy that permeated the world. For alchemists, Kai was everything, the foundation upon which power was built. Yet the process was brutal. Ordinary cultivators often spent 3 relentless years just filling their dantian, pushing day and night to advance a single realm. It was enough to make anyone feel discouraged. Am I really supposed to waste years in mind-numbing meditation? Like this? He frowned. And starting tomorrow, I'll be teaching. If the students find out I'm stuck in the immortal Kai realm and can't even gather energy properly. He trailed off, anxiety gnawing at him. Luckily, the Heavenly Way bookstore had given him an edge. By studying its contents, he had discovered countless flaws in the revered 9 Heavens Divine Technique. Nearly 1,000, in fact. Unfortunately, that technique didn't offer any built-in mechanisms to fix those flaws. But what if, he mused, eyes narrowing with inspiration, if I can gather different cultivation manuals, extract the flawless portions, and use them to patch over the broken parts? With new resolve, Jiang Zhan stepped into the library. He bowed respectfully to a figure seated among the towering shelves. Elder Mo. The elderly man looked up from his book and gave him a measured glance. It's nearly evening, Jiang Zhan. What brings you here so late? I'm on the verge of a breakthrough to the 3rd heaven of the martial artist realm, he answered calmly. But there are some things I don't fully understand. I came to research. Elder Mo's expression softened. Still studying. At this hour? Good. We need dedicated young minds like yours. The secrets of the 3rd heaven are located on the 4th shelf in the cultivation section. Go ahead. Thank you, Elder Mo, Jiang Zhan said with a polite nod, before heading deeper into the library. As he disappeared between the shelves, Elder Mo sighed and shook his head gently. He's a good lad. Polite, hard-working. Shame about the lack of talent. Hopefully his teaching assessments won't reflect that too. Meanwhile, Jiang Chan was struck with awe at the sheer scale of the library. Books lined the walls from floor to ceiling, row after row, an archive that rivaled modern libraries in its size and scope. Within moments, he reached the shelf Elder Mo had indicated and began scanning the titles. Spotting a promising manual, he pulled it down and flipped through the pages. Instantly, his mind flashed back to the Heavenly Way bookstore. This one, he muttered, stunned. Over 3,000 errors? And this is from the Academy's library? The Nine Heavens Divine Technique, for all its flaws, had only about 1,000. It suddenly made sense why it was so highly regarded. It was flawed, yes, but comparatively refined. Jiang Chan let out a long sigh. How exhausting, picking out grains of truth buried under a mountain of mistakes. But amid his frustration, a revelation struck him. Wait a minute. I'm only trying to break through to the next realm. Why waste time fixing everything? I just need to correct the page on breakthroughs. He flipped to the relevant section. 10 errors. Manageable. Finally, he exhaled, his burden a little lighter. The Heavenly Way bookstore couldn't offer solutions. It only pointed out the flaws. But by cross-referencing other texts, he could isolate what worked, patch up the faulty parts, and reconstruct the correct process. It was like reverse engineering perfection. And then, as he was riding the momentum of this discovery, another thought sparked. If I'm already here, why stop at just the third heaven? He grinned. Might as well gather the techniques for fourth and fifth heaven disciples too. Like a bee flitting from flower to flower, Jiang Chan dove into the task, leafing through one book after another, collecting every piece of useful knowledge he could find. The stack of books towered ominously over his head as he stood just outside Elder Mo's chamber. Yonghuan's rustling and page-turning echoed down the corridor, a noise that had initially seemed harmless. But as the hours dragged on, Elder Mo's favorable impression of the young man began to sour. Elder Mo muttered to himself, clearly irked. He's flipping through those texts like they're nothing. No discipline. A restless, impulsive boy, lacking depth and far too proud. Eventually, Yonghuan emerged, a confident calm on his face. I've finished reviewing all the techniques, relevant to fourth and fifth heaven disciples, he said breezily. Now it's time to consolidate what I've learned. His casual tone only deepened Elder Mo's irritation. You're finished already, the elder snapped. At least, copy a manual for review, something to keep with you. Zhonghuan, still polite, replied, That's not necessary. I've already committed everything to memory. Then, with a courteous nod, he added, Thank you, Elder Mo. Farewell, and strolled away, oblivious to the resentment he'd left behind. Watching him go, Elder Mo scowled. Not going to copy a single line. So arrogant. Just leafs through a dozen books and decides that's enough? Unbelievable. I'll have to speak with the headmaster. His teacher clearly needs a reminder of proper instruction. Back at his quarters, Yonghuan sat down in silence, his mind buzzing with what he had absorbed. Even if I managed to extract and transcribe only the useful fragments from each book, he thought, with tens of thousands more left to read, when would I ever finish? As this question weighed on him, a sudden jolt ran through his body. His vision blurred, and then, without warning, he found himself once again inside the Heavenly Way bookstore. How did I get here again? He wondered. Without delay, books began flying toward him. Yonghuan recognized them at once. They were the exact volumes he had studied and mentally transcribed earlier. The books gathered and swirled, forming a glowing cluster before him. Suddenly, a radiant light cut through the space, illuminating the area. From within the brilliance, a single ornate book descended slowly. Yonghuan reached out, reverently accepting it. The moment he opened its cover, his breath caught. This is a compilation of over 1,000 secret techniques, all the ones I studied, condensed perfectly into one flawless volume. As Jian flipped through the book, a sense of awe swept over him. The content defied classification. It no longer belonged to any conventional category of secret techniques. The cultivation methods detailed within were unlike anything he had ever encountered. Even so, the book bore no title. That thought lingered in his mind. It deserves a name, he mused thoughtfully, a name worthy of its origin. After some contemplation and reasoning, he arrived at a decision. If this is the most refined secret selected by the Heavenly Way bookstore, then Heavenly Scripture Divine Art shall be its name. The moment he uttered those words, the book responded as if alive. To his surprise, the chosen title materialized across its cover. Jian blinked, impressed. It actually acknowledged the name. Returning to his quarters, he wasted no time and began cultivating according to the techniques described in the Heavenly Scripture Divine Art. Almost immediately, he could feel the spiritual energy stirring within. It gathered and condensed at an extraordinary pace before diffusing outward. His progress was unlike anything he'd previously known, so rapid, in fact, that even he was shocked. "A breakthrough already?" he said aloud, unable to believe it. "I've advanced from a third-tier martial artist to the peak of the fifth-fold force realm in just half a night. And now, this is the Heavenly Ascension threefold realm." He paused, eyebrows knitting together. "But that level, shouldn't it require a divine or holy grade technique? How did I reach it so quickly?" It all made sense now. The incredible speed wasn't solely due to his effort. It was the influence of the Heavenly Way bookstore. Though he'd based his cultivation on the Crimson Sky ninefold secret art, the bookstore had refined it, eliminating all potential flaws. The result was perfection, allowing him to achieve the Heavenly Ascension threefold realm without obstacle. Realization lit up his eyes. He couldn't suppress a joyful burst of laughter. "Ha! If I can harness the bookstore's power to this extent, couldn't I create my own saint-level or even divine-level technique?" The thought filled him with ambition. He imagined himself as a revered master, compiling texts and guiding disciples. His voice rose in a teaching tone. "There are 3 tiers of Kai, upper, middle, and lower. The purer the Kai, the greater one's destiny. Cultivation techniques are ranked across 5 tiers: mortal, demonic, spiritual, saint, and divine. Each of those, in turn, has 4 grades: low, intermediate, high, and peak." Shaking himself free of the fantasy, he focused again. "I can write manuals later. Right now, I need to test this newfound strength." He strode to the stone wall where he had previously seen Wang Yin's group gauging their might by striking it with full force. Jian braced himself, summoned his Kai, and launched a punch at the wall. A booming crack rang out. "Whoa!" he said, stunned. "That sound, the power must be immense." He glanced at the mark left by his strike. 8 peaks. Each peak equals 1,000 caddies. "That's incredible," he whispered. He stood still for a moment, letting the realization wash over him. He wasn't just stronger now. He was standing at the gateway of something far greater.
Zheng Chan gazed at the perfectly formed 8 peaks etched into the stone wall, a symbol of power and mastery that even he found hard to believe. "Real or not," he murmured, "this is extraordinary." The precision and energy in the markings rivaled the breakthrough of vital acupoints by someone at the Azure Aperture Realm level. He had reached by fully unlocking his own energy nodes. There was no doubt in his mind this was the result of a divine cultivation technique. It hadn't only strengthened his body, had reshaped his potential. Still, despite the excitement of reaching the peak of the 5th heaven, he knew better than to flaunt it. For now, silence was safer. As he clenched his fist and let his thoughts swirl, a sudden, unfamiliar noise broke the stillness of his home. His senses sharpened. What was that? He wondered, his eyes narrowing toward the direction of the sound. Someone's here, but who? With a cautious step forward, he moved to investigate, every movement silent, deliberate. Meanwhile, someone else crept through the shadows, inching closer to Zhang Chan's quarters. The figure moved stealthily, carrying a small blade and harboring a deep grudge. "You brought this on yourself," the intruder muttered, bitterness in his voice. "How dare you touch our young lady?" Elsewhere in the shadows, Zhang Zhuan was also on the move. Having stripped off his teacher's robes to avoid suspicion, he approached quietly, his presence cloaked by the night. His eyes remained fixed on the intruder, studying every move. He doesn't seem to have noticed me, Zhang thought, so this isn't about me yet. Suddenly, the intruder's ears twitched, a sound too close. With uncanny sharpness, he spun around, voice cold and guarded. Zhang Zhuan flinched. "Damn it," he thought, "I've been spotted." Thinking quickly, he dropped his voice into a cold whisper, bluffing with conviction. "I'm here to kill that useless teacher, Zhong Chen." The stranger eyed him for a moment before nodding slightly. "So you're here for that too, huh? I'll keep watch. You go in first." Zhang Zhuan played along, trying to steady his breath. "What about you?" he asked. "Aren't you here to kill him too?" The stranger's eyes glinted in the moonlight, emotionless and unnerving. "No, I don't want him dead. I just want him broken. I'm going to take something from him, something he'll never get back. That way he'll never dare speak to our young lady again." Standing behind him, Zhang Zhuan's heart raced. The situation was far worse than he had imagined. Zhang Shan instinctively covered his lower body with one hand, silently cursing, despicable. If I hadn't trained today and gone straight to bed, the consequences could have been unimaginable. The masked figure turned to him and said evenly, "All right, you go first." Quick-witted as ever, Zhang Shan countered. "How about you go first? If I act now, he'll definitely die, and then your little castration plan would be pointless." The masked man's eyes narrowed. Coincidence. Wondered, I was planning to castrate John first, and then deal with the one who wanted him dead. With cautious suspicion, he said, "Fine, but we'll go together." Zhang Shen chuckled inwardly. This guy's too paranoid. They moved as agreed, Zhang Shen darting forward. The masked man glanced at him and instantly recognized his cultivation technique. Fifth heaven realm, at the pinnacle. Impressive, he thought, but didn't dwell on it. He simply warned, "Be careful, her cultivation isn't simple." Chuan responded softly, and with one step the masked man brought them to the Heavenly Way bookstore. Zhang Jian smirked to himself. He fell for it. The book about him was quickly in Zhang Jian's hands. Its cover bore two words. Dan Zongen frowned. This name, it's familiar. Where have I heard it before? After reading only a little, realization struck. His brow tightened. Dan, steward of Bo Yu Chung, 6th heaven martial artist, silent aperture, initial stage. 8 meridians opened. But he's not Jia's steward. Why would he want to castrate me? The more he read, the angrier he became. Flames of fury blazed inside him. Silent aperture realm. What nonsense. Breaking through the 12 peaks is already an achievement. If I don't teach you a lesson today, I'm not Jungen anymore. But reality set indirect combat would be suicide. Then, a sly grin crept onto his face. He began chuckling, shoulders shaking. Dan noticed immediately. "What's wrong with you?" he asked. "Nothing, nothing," Zhang Shan said quickly, still pretending to be casual. Then, pointing into the distance, he exclaimed loudly, "Look, a flying saucer." "What's that?" "Don't rush. You'll find out soon enough," Zhang Jian said, voice dripping with mock solemnity. The moment Dan turned his head, Zhang Jian struck without mercy, his kick landing squarely between Dan's legs. Blood spurted instantly as the man was sent crashing into a wall. Indeed, Zhang Jian's cultivation was now so refined that one kick completely subdued his opponent. And just like that, Dan knew what a flying saucer was he could see for of them spinning above his head. Zhang Chuan looked down on him. "So this is the great silent aperture realm expert. Once you find their weakness, they're done for." As the saucers faded, Dan regained consciousness and glared. "Didn't we agree to deal with Zhongzhuan together?" he spat. Little did he know the person he wanted to deal with was standing right there, smiling. Deal with Zhonggan. Alongside you, Zhongzhan flexed his fingers. "You misunderstand." His wicked grin made Dan tremble. What else are you going to do?" Just then, a lazy dog wandered by. Its stroll was interrupted by a piercing scream that sent it sprinting away in terror. After thoroughly educating Dan, Zhongyan exhaled with satisfaction. Refreshing. This guy's Lord Bach Chang's steward. Uncle de Xiao Yayuch, teaching him a lesson is enough. Dan, meanwhile, was miserable. Where's the dignity of a peak expert? Where's the skill? Even street thugs fight with more honor. Zhongshan didn't leave immediately. There was still a loose end. I can't let him suspect me, he thought. Luckily, I know the perfect scapegoat. That scapegoat was none other than Sheng Ben, who, unbeknownst to him, had been nominated for the role. Casually, Zhongzhan said, "Earlier today, I was angry at Zheng Huan and planned to teach him a lesson. He also wanted to teach him if he ended up crippled." He trailed off, making the pause deliberate. Then she'd definitely think it was me. "So, really, it's your fault for bad timing." Dan carefully memorized the words. When Zhongzhan noticed him staring, he snapped, "Why haven't you left yet?" Sore and humiliated, Dan left muttering to himself. First, this guy fought with Zhonggan earlier. Second, they're sworn enemies. Third, the person he chased had Bai in their name. Only after Dan had gone did Zhongzhan remove the cloth from his head. He sighed deeply. If I hadn't completed my cultivation today, who knows what would have happened? This world, strength is everything. The next morning, in Zhongzhan's lecture hall, the mood was unusually lively. Students greeted him respectfully. "Master Zhong, you're here." Scanning the room, he noticed someone missing. "Where's Aya? Not coming today?" "She'll be here soon, sir." A student replied, "Very well. Let's begin," Zhongshan said calmly. "My teaching style is different. Adapt to individual talent. I'll call names, and each person will come inside when called." The first name was Wei Yin. At the sound, she startled. Zhong Xuan, with a touch of formality, said, "Wang Yin, you are my first disciple. Please come in." She replied softly but remained seated, her thoughts elsewhere. Yesterday, after researching at home, I discovered something. Zhongzhan is a fraud with no real skills. I think I'll quit learning from him. Janshan summoned Wang Yin into the room, his voice calm but firm. "Strike at me. Let your master reevaluate your martial strength." Wang Yin hesitated. "Here, master. Is this the right place?" Janshan gave a short nod. "It's fine." Inwardly, he mused, "Last time, I didn't activate the Heavenly Way bookstore. I wonder if there were any flaws." Reluctantly, Wang Yin took a defensive stance, worry etched on her face, then lunged forward with a punch aimed at Janshan's hand. He turned slightly, catching her strike with ease, and offered a measured smile. "Not bad. Your martial strength has improved." She opened her mouth. "Master I." But Janshan cut her off. "If I'm not mistaken, you suffered an injury during a battle 2 years ago, correct?" Her eyes widened. "How? How do you know?" Inside, she wondered, not only does he know I was injured, he knows exactly when. Janshan explained, "There are 3 acupuncture points on the leg, each governing strength, speed, and agility. In combat, when these points are sealed, the blood flow reverses. That's what prevents you from fighting at your full potential." Wang Yin's mind flashed back. "That's exactly what Great Master you once told me. But he couldn't cure it. He said only a Heavenly Ascension threefold realm expert could resolve it." She took a cautious breath. "Then, Master, can you heal me?" Janshan smiled with quiet confidence. "It's a small matter." Her thoughts tumbled over themselves. "Small matter. I believed for years that this was an incurable injury, and he dismisses it like it's nothing." Truthfully, the reason he had called her here alone was to treat her. Even so, a sliver of doubt still lingered in her heart. Is he truly capable of this? Janshan picked up a fine silver needle, glancing at her with a reassuring smile. "Sit. Down. Relax." Wang Yin hesitated, but a strange sense of trust settled over her. She watched him hold the needle, his grip steady, his gaze sharp, and aim it precisely at her leg. This was the mysterious void needle, a technique that required flawless control of strength and perfect precision to pierce the exact acupoint. Only a practitioner of at least the 9 tripod strength realm could use it. Her heart pounded. Could it be that this seemingly unremarkable teacher has already reached the 5th heaven of the 9 tripod strength realm? One by one, he placed additional needles into her injured leg, each hitting its target flawlessly. Through them, he began transferring pure, refined foot ki into her body. Wang Yin bit her lip. This is your foot ki. She could feel it, as pure as water, without a single impurity. I've never heard of anyone in the Heavenly Ascension threefold realm cultivating ki of this quality. Yet my own teacher possesses it. Jian Shan finally withdrew the needles and straightened. Done. She tested her legs and froze. Of comfort surged through them, a freedom of movement she hadn't felt in years. The shackles are gone. I'm flexible again. Her heart soared. I've waited for this day for so long. I'd nearly given up hope, yet he healed me so. Easily falling to her knees, she clasped her hands. Thank you, Master. Jian Shan chuckled softly. If your legs are healed, then return to your cultivation with diligence. She bowed once more and hurried off, renewed determination in her step. Outside, meanwhile, Li Yang was muttering to himself with a dark expression. I think I'm done here. He turned to the others in the room. Who's with me? You, Andao raised a hand. I am. I'm ready to quit too, but careful. If the teacher gets angry, he might give you a lecture. Luan snorted. Better that than suffering a cultivation deviation from continuing. Li Yang crossed his arms. You'll see. We don't even know Jian Shan's true level. Just wait until Wang Yin comes out. Then you'll understand how unbearable it is. At that moment, the door to the adjacent classroom creaked open, and every head turned toward it. Teacher Zheng Jian and Wang Yin emerged from the room, the latter beaming with unrestrained joy. W. Yanggong, watching from nearby, was caught off guard. Yuan Ta leaned over and asked quietly, Is this the unbearable expression you mentioned? Yang only grunted in response, suspicion stirring in his mind. That happiness, was it coming from deep within her? Could it be that Zheng Chuan had given her some kind of special guidance? Before he could dwell on the thought, the classroom door swung open and Jia stepped inside, breathless. Sorry for being late, she said. Beside her was the steward Dan, his face swathed in bandages. Feigning ignorance, Zheng Chuan looked at Xiao Jia and asked, May I ask who that injured gentleman is? She blinked in confusion. This gentleman, the steward bristled instantly, his voice trembling with fury. How dare you call me disabled? You're the disabled one. A.M. Dan, steward of Bayou Chang. His eyes narrowed, his tone dripping with threat. I came here today to listen to this lecture, to see for myself how you teach. Miss Dao quickly stepped in. Uncle Dan, please calm down. Teacher Zheng, waving a hand dismissively, replied, Teaching requires absolute focus. Not just any random dog or cat can wander in. The steward's eyes flashed. Who are you calling a dog or a cat? Do you believe I won't kill you right here? Zheng Jian turned to his disciple. Zhao Ya, I'll leave this to you. Dan is Hirai. Can't deal with him while class is in session. She nodded quickly. All right, Uncle Dan, step outside. I have a class to attend. Confused and still seething, the steward allowed himself to be ushered out. Left alone in the corridor, he cursed under his breath. Despicable, Zheng Jian. You'd better not give me a reason to bring you down. Inside, the lesson continued. Zheng Jian turned to another student. Lu Yang, your turn. Come with me. Lu Yang complied, though his guard was up. Let's see if this so-called teacher has anything worth learning. If not, I'm done here. As soon as they entered, he asked, Teacher, should I start practicing my martial arts now? Not necessary, Zheng Jian replied. Why not? Lu Yang pressed. At your age, reaching small success in the flying flower fist and grand success in the heart thrust fist is already impressive, the teacher said. Lu Yang froze. How do you know I've been practicing the heart thrust fist? Not even my family knows about that. Zheng Jian smiled faintly. Because when you used the flying flower fist yesterday, I could see traces of the heart thrust fist in your movements. Lu Yang stared. Even teacher Ti Chung didn't notice that yesterday. How could this man, your heart thrust fist make, have reached grand success? Zhang Jian continued. But you've been feeling pain and itching in your armpits during practice, haven't you? That means your acupoints are blocked. Lu Yang's eyes widened. You're right, the heart thrust fist focuses on agility and full body control. If I reach the bone tempering realm, my energy should flow freely through my muscles. There shouldn't be side effects. But, Zhang Jian said firmly, you're still in the gathering essence realm. Your body is too weak. Forcing practice will only damage you further. Keep it up, and even immortals won't be able to save your arm. You might already feel stiffness. At night, yes. The young man's skepticism melted. Dropping to his knees, he clasped his hands. Teacher, please help me. There's no need to worry, Zhang Jian said warmly. Stop practicing the heart thrust fist. Focus on advancing your cultivation. I'll find another path for you. Lu Yang's eyes shone with admiration. I used to think following him was a mistake. Now I see, I'm incredibly lucky. This man is truly a master among masters. The classroom door opened again. Unu and Zhen Yang were waiting outside. Come out, they called. The kind-hearted, chubby student beside them asked his friend, So, did you quit learning? Lu Yang shook his head firmly. No, what about you? His friend raised a hand high. A teacher for a day is a father for life. Once the learning begins, quitting isn't an option. Honestly, I don't know what's wrong with all of you always talking about quitting. Aren't you ashamed? The others fell silent. Only moments ago, this same friend had been the one suggesting they leave. Zia stepped into the classroom next, her eyes widening as recognition struck. So, it's the lunar body, she murmured. Teacher Janes gave a slow nod. Exactly. The student isn't sick at all. She possesses the lunar body, a condition. Many young women dream of the yin energy within her is exceptionally strong. With the right method, her cultivation could advance at an incredible pace. He sighed slightly. It's a pity no one recognized it earlier. I even had her select the white jade essence infused with yin attributes. Yin combined with celestial yin, just a touch of mist-perfect synergy. But her current method won't make use of her potential. She needs a technique that aligns with her physique. Jo, the student in question, spoke hesitantly. Then, what should I practice? We'll go to the library tomorrow, James replied. We'll find something suited for you. Zhao lowered her head respectfully. Thank you, Master. Next up was Yuanta, clutching a copy of the Crimson Sky Ninefold Secret Art. His hands trembled, tears streaking down his cheeks. Thank you, Master, for this manual, he cried before rushing forward and wrapping Janes in a tight hug. Master, you're amazing! You fixed it so perfectly! Jan raised an eyebrow. A little personal space, please, and hygiene. Inwardly, he reflected, the manual's been slightly altered by Yuan's notes, not a drastic change, but enough to make it far superior to the original. Nearby, Zhen Yang, who had received pointers on enhancing his physical strength, was already showing marked improvement. Around the room, disciples were sparring in mental exercises, while teacher Janes addressed them all. All right, the individual issues have been handled, he announced, but remember, cultivation takes perseverance. Suddenly, the classroom door slammed open. A young man stood there glaring Zhenggen Wang Yan. He barked. Wang Yan froze. Brother, the newcomer. Wang Da was a quadruple-tier bone-tempering martial artist. Weapon in hand, he strode in, his voice sharp as steel. If you want to peddle your nonsense to others, fine, but stay away from my sister. Touch her again, and you're asking for trouble. His tone turned venomous. I'll count to 10. Release my sister and Miss Jaya from whatever scheme you've got. Them in or I won't hold back, even if you are a teacher. Jan's voice was calm. I'm still in the middle of class. Leave, Wang Da sneered. Class with that pitiful skill of yours. You're nothing but a monkey putting on a show. Don't think being called teacher means I respect you. The insult flickered through Jan's composure, and in that moment, a towering spectral tiger appeared behind him, its growl rumbling like thunder. Wang Da faltered. That aura, I've only ever felt it from my master. How can someone at the third heaven martial artist stage have this? But pride flared hotter. Then fear, TCH, just one threat, and I'm shaken. If word spreads, my reputation will be ruined. He lunged with his weapon. Do you want to die, Teacher Jan? Wang Yin called out in alarm as her brother's blade sliced toward. Jan's head. Jan caught the sword between two fingers. DA's face drained of color. How? Even an Azure Aperture Elder couldn't do that. How can you? He gritted his teeth, trying to force the blade free. It must be luck. Give it to Miraliset. But Jan didn't even grip the hilt tightly. He toyed with it, passing it between two fingers, while Wang Da strained with all his strength. Finally, Jan barked out, and with one swift kick, sent Wang Da sprawling through the doorway and out of the classroom. Dalen, the ever-watchful housekeeper, had been lingering outside the classroom door when the commotion began. From the noise, he figured, sounds like Wang Da is finally teaching that brat Zhanghuan a lesson. A sly smirk crept onto his face as he quietly pushed the door open to peek inside. Let's see how that trash looks when he's put in his place. But the scene inside told a different story. In the blink of an eye, Wang Da was sent hurtling backwards, his sword still in hand straight. Out through the doorway, the force of the blow carried him directly into Dalan, the weapon smacking the housekeeper square in the face. Both of them, entangled with the broken classroom door, slammed against the far wall in a heap. Dalan lay dazed beneath the wreckage, while Wang Da, the young master, stood frozen. Eyes wide in disbelief, Teacher Zhang casually dusted off his hands. All right, let's continue. The disciples watching from below whispered in awe. That was a full-force strike from a quadruple bone-tempering realm cultivator blocked with just one hand, and then tossed aside like nothing. Wang Yin frowned. Isn't Teacher Zhang supposed to be the weakest instructor in the academy? Xia Jia, the young miss, was thinking along similar lines. Meanwhile, Dalan, his head wrapped in bandages, managed to ask, young Master Wang, weren't you disciplining Zheng Shan just now? What happened? Wang Da scratched his head, looking embarrassed. I had an insight into a new cultivation technique, but I wasn't careful and suffered a backlash. Dalan narrowed his eyes. A new technique? Have you confronted that? Gayet? Wang Da shook his head quickly. I planned to, but academy rules forbid disturbing classes. We'll wait here. Dalan tilted his head. If we're waiting, I have something to ask, young master. Go ahead, Wang, Da said. But inwardly, he was on guard, hoping the question wouldn't touch on what had just happened. Thankfully, Dalan asked something. Unrelated, are there any female teachers here with Bai in their names, and is anyone pursuing her? Wang Da thought for a moment. With a character Bai, there's only the academy's goddessy Miss Shen Baiyu. Recently, she's been pursued by teacher Shang Ben, though. That despicable Zheng Huan has also tried in the past. Dalan muttered under his breath, Shang Ben. If I can find out whether he clashed with Zhang Huan yesterday, I can confirm if he's the one involved. Elsewhere in another teaching hall, Shang Bin's voice rose sharply. Zhang Huan has deceived your student. Kang Zong nodded gravely. Yes, that's why I want to ask your esteemed grandfather to handle Itis, the head teacher here. Shang Bin slammed the table. No need for my grandfather to come. I've wanted to deal with Zhang Huan for a long time. His lips curled in a malicious grin. If I fight him outright, I'll risk ruining my image with Shen Baiyu. But now, I have the perfect excuse. He stood abruptly. Let's go. With other teachers, I'd ask my grandfather for help. But for that useless Zhang Huan, we'll handle him directly. If he refuses, cripple him. On the way, they ran into Wang Da and Dalan, young Master Wang. Shang Bin asked in surprise, aren't you cultivating at your grandfather's estate? What are you doing here? My sister was tricked into enrolling here, Wang Da explained. I'm here to take her back. Shang Bin's expression darkened. Zhang Huan dared to deceive Miss Wang Yin. Looks like he's due for a beating. Wang Da gestured to his companion. This is Ya Chain, Ru Chun's chief steward Dalan. His daughter, Miss Da Jia, was also deceived. Shang Bin raised an eyebrow. The steward too. Then come along, let's see how I deal with him. The man has no morals. Inside the classroom, Zhang Huan was immersed in his lesson on the ninefold profound secrets. While it was the most basic technique taught at Hangan Academy, he dissected it with such clarity that even veteran practitioners would learn something. The disciples sat entranced, marveling at how effortlessly he pinpointed flaws in martial techniques. Even after he paused, they still struggled to steady their breathing. One whispered, "Even if our fathers were here, compared to teacher Zhang Huan, they'd be like frogs at the bottom of a well." Zhang Huan, however, noticed their strange expressions and frowned slightly. What's going on with them? Before he could dwell on it, the classroom door burst open for the third time that day. A group of troublemakers crowded inside. Shang. Ben stepped forward, voice sharp. "Zhang Huan, in just one day, you've deceived teacher Song's students, enchanted Miss Wang Yin, and misled Miss Daja. You've got guts." Zhang Huan raised an eyebrow. "I'm teaching. Whatever your business is, wait until classes." Over Shang Bin sneered, arrogant to the end. He took another step forward, voice dripping with threat. "You will stop teaching these students right now. Otherwise, I'll make sure you're giving your lectures from a wheelchair. This semester." Zheng Shan's voice rang out, stern and cold. "Are you intending to use force? Have you forgotten that the academy strictly forbids teachers from fighting?" Shang Bin smirked, his expression dripping with arrogance. "Rules. They're nothing more than words made by people who want to control others. If I were fighting someone important, perhaps the academy would punish me. But you, do you honestly believe the academy would ever take your side? A useless man like you? Don't flatter yourself." His eyes narrowed as he continued mockingly. "Or perhaps, is this because of something I said yesterday? Did I offend you so much that you've come seeking revenge? Aren't you afraid Miss Shin Byu will be angered by this display? Consider yourself fortunate I'm even wasting time to educate you. If I dare to teach you a lesson, it means I'm certainly not afraid of your hollow threats." Dahan, who had been holding back his fury, could no longer restrain himself. His thoughts burned. So this was the man who dared pursue Miss Shin Byu and clashed with Zhang Shan yesterday. He shouted in anger, "The one who attacked me last night, tit was you." Teacher Shang blinked in surprise, confused by the sudden accusation. But before he could speak, Dahan's fist came crashing down. The punch landed squarely on Shang's face. Blood streamed from his nose as he staggered backward, clutching his face in shock. He cried, "Have you mistaken me for someone else?" The steward stood frozen for a heartbeat, then roared back furiously, "Mistaken you? Don't toy with me." Shang Ben, still clutching his nose, pointed accusingly, "I don't care what nonsense you're spouting, but if you dare raise your hand again, I won't hold back." The steward's glare hardened. "Then don't expect any mercy from me either." Before Shang Bin could prepare himself, Dahan lunged forward again, his punch slamming him to the ground. Keizong immediately turned to Wang Da, alarm flashing across his face. "What's going on here?" The young master shook his head quickly. "I don't know, but we need to stop them before this gets worse." Only Zhang Wan, watching quietly from the side, seemed to understand what was truly happening. A small, knowing smile tugged at his lips. As expected, chaos has finally erupted. Wang, the young master, rushed forward. "Steward Dahan, calm yourself. Let's talk this through." But Dahan, teeth clenched and fists trembling, shook him. Often growled, "Let me go. I'm not finished with him yet." On the ground, Teacher Shang's face was already swollen, several teeth loosened from the blows. He wailed bitterly, spitting blood. "Despicable. Even my grandfather has never struck me like this. I'll fight you to the death." Kei Shang stepped between them urgently. "Teacher Shang, please calm yourself. Don't make this worse." The classroom trembled with tension until Zhang Shan finally intervened. His voice cut through the noise, commanding and sharp enough. "Both of you, if you harbor grudges, settle them outside. Otherwise, I'll personally report this matter to the academy." At the mention of the authorities, Shang Bin's fury faltered. Panic flickered in his eyes. His reputation was already tarnished by this humiliation. If other teachers learned of this, it would destroy him. He jabbed a trembling finger toward Dahan. "Fine, very well. Just you wait." The class eventually ended. As the disciples filed out, Yu laughed cheerfully. "Today's lesson was certainly exciting, wasn't it?" Jenny Yang nodded eagerly. "Indeed, especially with Teacher Shang and the steward clashing like that." Liang added in awe, and Teacher Zhang's presence was incredible, truly eye-opening. Behind them, Xiaoha walked beside Dahan and asked with concern, "Uncle Da, art You all right?" He scratched the back of his head awkwardly, laughing it off. I'm fine. Nothing to worry about." When it came time to part ways, Wang Yin waved with a smile. "Goodbye, Master Zheng." Zhang Chuan stood at the classroom door, silently watching as Miss Wang left. Her elder brother Wang Da quickly took her by the hand. "Come, let's return home." She frowned slightly. "Why, elder brother? I don't need to go back. I live here at the academy now." Wang Die's expression grew serious. "It isn't my wish, it's father's. He wants to see you." His words caught her off guard, and she fell silent, troubled by the unexpected summons. Meanwhile, Teacher Shang stormed out of the classroom, his pride in tatters. He muttered curses under his breath, face still swollen. Despicable, utterly despicable. To be beaten without reason. That Dahan must face disciplinary action. Kei Sheng followed close behind, nodding in agreement. Indeed, and Zhang Wanhe's no different. Those two are cut from the same cloth. Shang Bin clenched his fists. "I've never wronged Dahan. His attack must be because I intended to discipline Zhang Shan. Yes, that must be it." The thought struck him suddenly. He turned to Kei Shang and asked, "By the way, are you certain that Liu Yanggang didn't willingly choose to become Zhang Wan's apprentice?" Kei Shang, his student, answered firmly, "Absolutely certain. It wasn't his choice." Shang Bin's expression darkened. "Very well. If that's the case, then seek permission for cultivating the heart and will. Escalate the punishment to its highest level. Preferably, have Zhang Shen expelled altogether." Inside the Wang clan ancestral hall, a thunderous voice shook the chamber. "Have you realized your mistake?" Wang Yin knelt on the cold floor, trembling under her father's wrath. "Daughter," he continued harshly, "anyone who refuses to pay respects must face the consequences. Do you regret it now?" Miss Wang lifted her head, her voice urgent. "Father, you're wrong about Teacher Zhang. He's not as you think. He's truly talented." Her father clenched his teeth in fury. "Talented, he is worthless. A man capable only of leading others astray. What right does he have to call himself your teacher?" Wang Hall turned to face his daughter, his tone stern, yet carrying a trace of concern. "Choosing a teacher is your freedom. I never intended to interfere. But Yin, do you truly understand what kind of ability this Zhangwen possesses?" The clan elders nodded in unison, adding weight to his words. "Indeed, Wang Yin, you must not take this matter lightly. Do not let yourself be deceived by someone unworthy," one elder cautioned. Wang Ho pressed on, raising his voice. "Look at Wangani," chose Master Li. After only a single lesson, his strength increased by 40%. Wang Yin responded, gently but firmly. "Father, Teacher Zhang Shan has helped me increase my strength by more than double. Not only that, he healed my injured leg." The elders muttered among themselves, skeptical. "Your leg? Even teacher, you could not heal it. How could that worthless fellow succeed? Strength increased by 100%? Healing a crippled leg? Impossible, such claims are absurd." Wang Yin's face trembled with anger as she shouted, "You've never once attended Teacher Zhang Shan's class. On what grounds do you judge him? I will never stop learning from him." The elders fell silent for a moment before bursting into mocking laughter. Wang Ho's expression darkened as he scolded his daughter harshly. "Enough, no more nonsense. Today, you must end this foolishness. If you refuse, then don't step foot in this house again." Despite the threat, Wang Yin held her ground. She turned toward the courtyard and pointed at the strength testing stone nearby. "If you won't believe me, then see for yourselves." Taking a deep breath, she clenched her fists, struck the stone with all her might, and the marker lit up with a force of 120 pounds. Without pause, she pivoted, delivering a powerful kick. The stone registered 205 pounds. Gasps rippled through the elders. How could this be? Just yesterday, her punch was barely 53 pounds, and that kick astonishing, over 200 pounds. Of force, leaning proudly against the stone, Wang Yin declared, "All of this is thanks to Teacher Zhang Yin's guidance." Her father rushed over, stunned. "Then, he truly healed your leg?" She nodded confidently. "Yes, he did." He pressed further. "Tell us then, what did he teach you?" Her expression softened as she answered, His teachings are profound, Father. I can only recall fragments, but what I do remember has already changed me greatly." She recited what she had learned, her words carrying a sense of mystery and depth. The head of the Wang family grew thoughtful, stroking his beard. A cultivator who can express such wisdom, his knowledge is extraordinary. The elders murmured with awe. These are the teachings of a true master. Enlightening, if only we had known earlier. Moved by her progress, Wang Ho's sternness melted away. Tears welled in his eyes as he declared, "Yin, you must continue studying under Teacher Zhang. In fact, ask him if he would be willing to accept Wandan and Wangdan as his students, and perhaps even me." An elder immediately objected. "Clan head, how could you, of all people, become a disciple of a mere low-ranking teacher? If such news spreads, what will happen to the Wang clan's reputation?" Wang Ho gave a wry smile. "You are right. Still, what does reputation mean compared to true cultivation?" The elders, seeing his sincerity, began to shift their stance. One of them quickly added, "Well, perhaps we are not bound by appearances any longer. Wang Yin, maybe you could ask Teacher Zhang if he is willing to take us as disciples as well." Another elder snorted, "You shameless lot, your skin is thicker than mine." Wang Yin laughed lightly at their bickering. Meanwhile, at the scroll repository, Zhang Shan walked with determination, reflecting to himself, "My cultivation has advanced, but my understanding of martial arts still lags. If I do not deepen my studies, I cannot guide my students properly." Reaching the great doors, he bowed respectfully. "Elder Mo," the elder frowned impatiently. "You again. What is it this time?" Zhang Shan smiled humbly. "I wish to study the martial arts scrolls." "Sir." Elder Mo shook his head. "Not today. May I ask, why not?" Zhang Shan pressed. Before the elder could answer, a clear, melodious voice drifted over. "I am here to select some scrolls." It was Shen Baiyu, the Academy's most admired beauty. Elder Mo's demeanor instantly changed. "Ah, Teacher Shen, please, come inside." She smiled graciously. "Thank you, Elder Mo." Zhang Shan, watching this, frowned. "Elder Mo, this is unfair. She may enter to study, yet I am turned away. I, too, am here to learn." The elder replied curtly, "Teacher Shen is here for study. You will." Zhang Shan interrupted firmly, "And I am not." Shen Baiyu, watching silently, thought to herself, "Is it because he admires me? Yet today he doesn't even speak a word." After a pause, she spoke aloud in his defense. "Elder Mo, I believe, Teacher Zhang truly wishes to study. Denying him could give others the wrong impression. Please allow him entry." Elder Mo. The stern overseer of the scroll repository waved his hand dismissively. "If Teacher Chan has already spoken on your behalf, then I'll let you in," he said, his brows knitting together in warning. "But mark my words, if you stir up any trouble, I'll personally make sure you regret it." Zhang Chan cupped his hands respectfully, a grateful smile spreading across his face. "Many thanks, Elder Mo." Shen Beiru interjected casually. "No need for all this formality." Pushing the heavy door open, he added, "I'll head in first." Teacher Shen blinked in mild surprise. Did I just miss another chance to strike up a conversation with him? Inside, Zhang Chen's mind was already turning. I didn't expect gaining entry to the scroll repository to be such a hassle this time. If that's the case, there might not be another opportunity. Best to make the most of it now. Surveying the shelves, he noted, "It's not that large. If I move quickly, I can comb through the entire collection in one day. That way I won't need to return." He immediately shut out all distractions, slipping into a focused state of mind. Outside, Elder Mo tapped his foot irritably at the sound of pages rustling. "There he goes again," he muttered. This time, he refused to let it pass. With a sharp stomp, he strode into the repository. By then, Zhang Chan had already worked his way through several shelves. Elder Mo stepped forward, demanding, "Show me what you're reading." At that moment, Zhang Chan happened to pick up a volume titled The Cultivation of Purple Vieira Root. Elder Mo's expression froze. Purple Vieira Root Cultivation. What in the world is he looking for? One after another. Zhang Chan pulled out more books. Dual Cultivation of Yin and Yang. The Harmony of Yin-Yang, Secret Arts of Pill Refinement, and Keynotes on Advanced Cultivation. Elder Mo's face darkened with every title. This brat, he's definitely here to make trouble. I'll deal with him once he's finished. From the side, Shen Bei-ru studied the scene, suspicion flickering in her eyes. Could it be Elder Mo didn't want him in here for this very reason? Or perhaps is it because I came today? Does he think I'm drawing unnecessary attention? Humph. No one will behave disrespectfully in my presence. Deciding to step in, she called out sharply, "Teacher Zhang, what exactly are you doing?" Without even glancing her way, Zhang Chen replied curtly, "Reading." Arms crossed, Shen Bei-ru shot back, "Reading? If you're only here to play games, then leave the scroll repository at once." I won't be fooled by this nonsense. But Zhang Chen ignored her, eyes fixed on the text before him. Her patience thinned. "Don't think silence will work on me. Answer properly." Still, he read on, turning pages as if she weren't even there. Finally, her voice rose to a shout. "Are you deaf? Can't you hear what I'm saying? The more you ignore me, the more insufferable you become." With an exasperated sigh, Zhang Chen finally looked up, irritation flashing in his eyes. "Are you out of your mind? If you have nothing better to do, go scribble somewhere else. Don't disturb me here." Shen Bei-ru gasped, scandalized. "How dare you speak to me like that?" Her jaw tightened. "Fine, if you want to keep pretending, let's see how long you can endure this act." The night dragged on. Moonlight streamed through the high windows as the hours slipped away. Shen Bei-ru sat across the room, watching in disbelief. 6, 7 hours, and he's still reading. If his only goal were to irritate me, surely he would have stopped by. Now, meanwhile, Zhang Chen closed the last book with a satisfied murmur. "Finally, I've gone through every text here. I even found a few techniques suitable for Shai's lunar body." As he turned to leave, he caught sight of Shen Bei-ru, still buried in her own reading. He thought dryly, 7 hours, and she's still at it. Well, that's her problem, not mine. Mission accomplished. He headed toward the exit. But before he could step out, Elder Mo blocked his path with a sharp command. "Stop right there." Elder Mo's voice thundered through the hall, sharp with anger. "Zhang An, from this day forward, the scroll repository has no place for you. Don't even bother coming here tomorrow." The outburst caught the attention of the other scholars, though Zhang An remained strangely calm. He had, after all, already finished reading every single book in the collection, so he truly had no reason to return. Yet something in him compelled him to ask, "Why, Elder Mo?" The overseer's face flushed with irritation. "Why do you take me for a fool? You flip through pages without writing notes, without stopping to study, without showing even a shred of reverence. Who reads in such a ridiculous manner?" Zhang An tilted his head, bemused. "So, I upset you simply because I read too quickly. Ha! Well, I did finish everything anyway. If that bothers you, then fine, consider me guilty of causing trouble." With a shrug, he turned to leave. "Wait, Teacher Zhang." Shen Bei-ru's gentle voice cut through the tension. He turned back, already irritated. "What now?" Another interruption. But Shen Bei-ru only smiled sweetly. "You've been reading for so long. Surely you remember something of what you've seen." "Yes. What exactly are you implying?" Zhang An asked flatly. "I saw you glance through Forbidden Dan cultivation earlier. I was hoping to ask your opinion on a particular passage." She folded her hands, her eyes glimmering with curiosity. Inside, however, she thought suspiciously, is he pretending? If he can't answer me, we'll see how long this act lasts. Zhang An frowned. "If you don't understand something, speak quickly. I still need to go home for dinner." His bluntness pricked her pride, but she kept her composure. "Very well. The text says the ingredients are difficult to obtain and the refinement process complex. I don't understand this phrase properly. Perhaps Teacher Zhang could explain." "Wrong." He interrupted before she could continue. His tone was sharp, dismissive. The correct line reads, "The medicinal ingredients meld within the furnace, forming a miraculous pill with great difficulty." The meaning is clear. Once the components condense during refinement, the pill cannot be further refined. Your question itself was mistaken. Shen Bei-ru rose. She had intentionally misquoted the line to trip him up, but he saw through it effortlessly and corrected her without hesitation. So he truly remembers it. He's not pretending. Before she could probe. Further, Elder Mo interjected, "Enough. Teacher Shen, Forbidden Dan cultivation is something every alchemist knows the basics of. Even common folk have heard of it. If we are to test him, it should be with something more profound." Mo's eyes narrowed thoughtfully before he posed. His question: harmonize the key of heaven, harmonize the hearts of all things. How do you explain this? Zhong'an smirked arrogantly. You don't even know that. It's the foundation of cultivation itself. As qi circulates within the body, the mind must embrace the essence of all things under heaven. This principle is recorded in the Blood Keys by Senior Bing, verse 27, page 6. Elder Mo's eyes widened in disbelief. He had puzzled over this very phrase with the other overseers just days ago, and none of them could find an answer. Yet Zhong'an recited it without hesitation, even citing the exact book and page. Teacher Shen, Mo stammered, "Come with me." "I'll come to," Shen Bairu quickly added, still half doubting him. Together, they hurried to the towering shelves, pulling down the heavy tome. Flipping the pages with nervous haste, they found it exactly as Zhong'an had described. A hush fell over them. Just a few days ago, Elder Mo himself had scoured countless scrolls without success. And yet this young man who seemed to skim through texts without care had plucked the answer from memory outside. Zhong'an called impatiently. "If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. I'm starving, wait, Teacher Zhang." Shen Bairu hurried after him while Mo collapsed into a chair, shaken. Could he truly be a teacher candidate? If so, then what am I compared to him? Zhong'an frowned at Shen Bairu. "You want?" "I'm hungry." Her lips curved into a mischievous smile. "I haven't eaten either." "Why don't we eat together?" He blinked, baffled. Is she really that desperate for dinner? If you're hungry, eat. Why drag me along? Shen Bairu sighed inwardly. When I decline invitations, men complain. When I offer one, he resists. And to speak so curtly to a lady. Yet, despite her irritation, she forced a pleasant smile. "No, I insist. I'm inviting you. Come along." At the mention of a meal, Zhong'an's ears perked instantly. His mood shifted in a heartbeat, though he tried to mask it with mock severity. "Fine, but I'll only eat something extravagant. Ordinary noodles or dumplings won't do." Shen Bairu could only gape in silence. Thus the two walked together beneath the moonlight. Their shadows stretched long across the ground as the night. Air settled cool around them. Ru glanced back at him, exasperated. This man has spent the entire day at my side without saying a word. What's wrong with him? Yet her eyes widened in realization. His expression was calm, almost detached, as though the turmoil of the world could not touch him. It was the unmistakable sign of the second heaven's mind state, level of mental cultivation even the headmaster had struggled to achieve. Her thoughts raced. Could it be that during the qualification exam, he endured everyone's mockery on purpose, deliberately tempering his mind to reach this state? A pig disguising itself to devour the tiger. If that's the case, then I must expose him eventually. As Shen Bairu